everyone, and welcome to Miss Long's first ever book talk. This summer I began reading and read lots of books, but had three that I really enjoyed, and I'm going to share them with you today. Now, as I read these three, I thought about quotes that I share with you guys, my students, on a daily basis. My favorite quote to share with you all is, "Life's about the choices you make, choose wisely." These books certainly reflect that. So some of them, characters make good choices. In others, characters make not so good choices. And in one in particular, he hasn't made a choice yet. He has to still make his choice. So I hope you enjoy these books as much as I did. All three of the books I'm going to share with you today fall into the genre of realistic fiction. One of them is written in chapters like a regular novel. Two are written in verse. Some of you have not seen verse before, but let me show you what it is. So a novel in verse is written in poetry. So you can see here in this book, the poem obviously has a title, short and sweet. Same here. This poem's written using the word right. Right is written into question marks. The character is questioning themselves whether they're doing the right thing or not. Very cool, right? There are three books I'm going to share with you today. The first is American Street by Ibby Zobai. The second is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. And the third is Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. American Street by Ibby Zobai was released in 2017 and is definitely a fabulous book. So the author, Ibby Zobai, is from Port-au-Prince, Haiti. She moved to America when she was 4 years old, and a lot of what happens in the book comes from her own experiences of being an immigrant in America. So a quick summary of American Street. The main character of American Street is Fabiola, and Fabiola is a wonderful character. She's a very sweet girl from Haiti, and she comes to America with her mom. Her mother is detained at the airport in New Jersey due to the fact that they believe she's coming to America to stay, which is true, and she's not allowed to leave. So Fabiola has to leave her mom in detainment in New Jersey and go to live with her aunt and three cousins in Detroit. They immediately put her in prep school. One afternoon she's walking around after school's over and a detective approaches her. The detective says that she can have Fabiola's mom released from detainment if she'll give information about Dre, her cousin's boyfriend. Dre is a local drug dealer, and the detective wants to be able to pin a crime that happened. A girl in a local community died to a drug overdose, and she wants to be able to pin that on Dre, but she needs Fabiola's help to do so. She offers to get Fabiola's mother out of detainment. But Fabiola has an issue. The boy she's fallen in love with is also Dre's cousin, and that may be a conflict of interest, so she has a huge choice to make. Overall, American Street by Ibby Zobai is a great book. The main character, Fabiola, is such a sweet girl but does what it takes to get her mom out of detainment. The story had lots of twists and turns that I didn't expect at all. I'm not going to give them away now. I just kind of gave you a surface view of the book. I hope you'll check it out. The next book I'm going to share is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. And this is a book that's written in verse, so you can see inside that it's written like poetry. A lot of the poems written within it are short and sweet, so I was able to get through it in like a couple hours. It was very good. It's also a National Book Award winner. The cover is absolutely gorgeous. I love the fro, like the black and white and the color behind it. I don't know why, but I was very drawn to that. It also has... So the book is about a girl named Zamara, and we're going to call her X because her name is really hard to say. And she becomes later known as the Poet X. But X has a twin brother who is the perfect child, so it seems. And she's kind of a tough girl. She's a Hispanic girl growing up in Harlem. Her mother's really hard on her. Mother is very, very religious, and X doesn't feel the same way. So throughout the book, X has many choices to make. She has to choose whether to use her fists to fight her battles. She has to choose whether to share her brother's secrets. She has to choose whether or not she wants to go to confirmation, whether she wants to skip out and go to poetry and club instead. She has to choose whether she is going to share her poetry with the world or not. And all of these choices affect her future. Here's one of the things I found really cool about the book. Some of it's written in Spanish. So when X gets really upset, or when her mother gets really upset, the words flow from English and all of a sudden you're reading Spanish. The cool thing is, most of the time, she translates that Spanish for us so we can know what it means. And it really is upsetting. It's like, so when her mom is chewing her out in Spanish, she then translates it to us in English, and we see what her mama is saying and why she's so upset. So overall, I absolutely love this book. I love that I could get through it very quickly. I love that it almost had this rhythm to it as you read through. So Elizabeth Aceto is a very cool writer. She's actually a poetry slam champion, which explains why this book is so awesome. So the very last book I'm going to share with you is Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. You can see that there's no cool award sticker, but it does say National Book Award finalist. This is my favorite book of all three that I'm sharing with you. But I want to read to you Jason Reynolds and what he writes in the very back of his book. Jason Reynolds is crazy about stories. Jason Reynolds is also tired of being around young people who are tired of feeling invisible. And his characters and his settings are all about people who feel like others aren't watching them. I even felt like in this book, the setting's never really named, so it could be somewhere in your own backyard. Now, one of the really cool things about this book is that it's written in verse. And I'm going to show you this page just so that you are familiar with it. You can see that it kind of goes back and forth. This is characters talking back and forth, and it was really easy to almost hear them in my head as I read it, like this character say this character say this. Super cool. Yes, I'm nerding out about books. So let me give you a short and sweet summary of this book. Will, who's the main character in the book, his brother Sean has just been murdered. Okay, he and his mother and Sean have lived together their whole lives. He stays in the room with his brother Sean, and he's really struggling with his brother's death. But he knows that there are 3 rules in the community where he lives. Number 1, no crying. You better suck it up. Number 2, no snitching. You can snitch to other people in your community, but never to the cops. It's not allowed. And number 3, get revenge. Now, Will thinks he knows who murdered his brother. He thinks that it's his brother's friend who's in an opposing gang. So he goes to the apartment where this friend lives, and this is where things get interesting. So when Will gets to the apartment where the supposed killer lives, he gets on the elevator and pushes the number of the floor he needs to go to. However, the elevator stops at the next floor. Someone gets on, smoking a cigarette. He thinks it's odd, but the person starts talking to him. This happens on every floor. Someone else gets on the elevator, and as you go through the book, it stays 908, 908, 908, and then eventually gets to 909, but it's like time has completely slowed down. So after Will has spent all this time with these characters on the elevator, he then has to make the choice, the big choice that he has to make in the very end. And I'm not going to share too much about that with you because I feel like it's a big moment. I will tell you that the last 2 words of the book are very gripping. They're probably my favorite 2 words of the whole book, which sounds really odd, but if you check it out, you'll see why. When I finished the book, I had chills from my head to my toe and really had to sit and think about Will's choice. So I hope you enjoy it too. So back to our overarching theme. Life is about the choices you make. Choose wisely. At America Street, Fabiola made some choices. It affects her life in a positive way, and it affects her life in a negative way. So our choices could have many outcomes. Choose wisely. In the poet X makes some difficult choices in her life. Choices about religion, choices about her boyfriend, choices about her parents. They all affect who she turns out to be and who she becomes through this book. In Long Way Down, Will is left with the major choice. The choice that he makes is going to affect him and it's going to affect his community. Huge choice. Like I said earlier, these were 3 of my favorite reads from this summer. I hope you'll check them out. They're in your local library, I'm sure. Very popular books. Some of them are up-and-coming authors. Some of them are authors who've been around for a while, but I hope you check them out. Again, The Poet X, Long Way Down, American And just a quick reminder, life is all about the choices you make. Choose wisely.